another banger in the day, man. We're gonna be reacting to William Willigan, I think his name. That's his name, bro. This man makes portraits and he makes his art inside of little pens. Let's go into the video. I'm gonna show you what it's going.
Is the paintbrush. Creating pieces in the eyes of needles, a canvas 1/3 the size of a fruit fly's wing. That's the daily experience of this man.
My name is Willard Wigan. I'm the creator.
Oh, I said Willigan. I meant okay, it is what it is though.
The smallest handmade sculptures in history.
But they're not crazy. How do you even sit there for that long? Like, how do you just sit there and do that? Like, it's so tiny, but it's tinier than I think a blood cell.
This is more complicated than any microsurgery. I don't care what anybody says. You have to have a more stable hand than any surgeon to do this work. This one took me a long time, 4 months, because each camel had to individually put in and individually made. I had to serrate the needles at the bottom.
Oh my God! And bro, you cannot see none of this. You can't see none of this stuff right here with a human eye, bro. Like, that's incredible. That's really insane. That's insane.
Scrape it away so you get these jagged edges underneath, and then press their feet into the bit that I've serrated. If I ever needed psychiatric help, I think it was probably this one, because the camels were jumping and sticking to the top of the needle through static and pushing them back down. And see how thin the legs are? How did I make those legs without them falling off? That was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
In truth,
like, how do you even want to, bro? I ain't gonna lie. A person like me, I would've quit. I'm not gonna lie. I would've quit. I can't do it. It's too small, too long. 4 months? Who finna do 4 months of art, bro? That get him some money though. I'm not gonna lie.
Every piece is impossibly difficult because they're susceptible to the slightest of disturbances.
I was making Alice in Wonderland.
That's crazy.
Susceptible to the slightest of disturbances.
That's an eyelash, and that's his work right here. Oh my, I ain't gonna lie, that's insane, boy.
I was making Alice in Wonderland, and when I make my sculptures, I normally lift them and put them into position. So when Alice was made, I lifted Alice like that to sit in the chair behind the table. And my mobile phone went off, and I went, "Who's that?" And as I breathed in, I inhaled Alice. Gone. Somewhere in my cavities somewhere. But it was a blessing in disguise because I made another Alice which was better than
For what? He inhaled it? Nah, that's insane.
the first one.
These tiny marvels require a steady hand, but also a steady mind, prepared to weather the microcosmic elements.
Before I start work, I do breathing exercises. I can feel my heart pumping away. I can feel myself being really steady. I can feel it. And once I get closer to the microscope, I can hold my fingers together, I can feel the pulse in my finger, and I can feel when it stops. And then I work between the pulse beat. That's what I do. When I'm working, I am in a state of, I have to do this right. And it tires me out because I may do 16 hours, 17 hours, or even longer sometimes. It's impossible to enjoy it because nobody enjoys holding their breath. The first step, I have to cut out a rough shape of what I'm about to create. And then once I've cut out that rough shape, I'll go back and I have a look at it. Then I've got to turn that rough shape into what I want it to look like. And that is a bit where little problems can occur. I would say 20% I get rid of, 80% makes its completion. Sometimes I'll make
that, bro. His work is like, that's rare though. Like, this is the only time I've seen somebody ever do this. This really rare. Like, I don't know how you can even. Whew.
Something up in my head, and then it doesn't quite turn out right. 2 weeks into it, I'll pick it up and say, I don't like that, and I'll throw it away.
To carefully make something so incredibly small, Willard needs his own specialized tools.
This one here is a hypodermic needle, very fine needle, one of the finest you can get. And what I've done, I've cut the needle off to shorten it. And what I do when I'm doing a sculpture, if I was carving an animal or something like that, I'd put a piece of material into the hole of the needle, then manipulate it around and slice and separate the material that I'm carving, like peeling a carrot almost.
No, that's
and the second one.
That's too hard. I can't do that. I cannot put myself up to do nothing like this. I'm not gonna lie.
Here it's got a little blade. It's like an engraving tool, very hard steel. The third one is like a hook, and it's twirled at the end. And that hook enables me to manipulate and move and twist things around. When you look at it underneath the microscope, they look a bit crude looking, but they do the job. This one here is a paintbrush. My eyelash is stuck on the end of that, so that's pretty simple.
He paint his artwork. He paint his work with his eyelash. Bro, that's fire. I'm not gonna lie, that's tough.
And this one, this is like a little drill. So I drill little holes. So if I'm drilling a hole, I just press onto the material and I just keep turning it backwards and rotating backwards and forwards, but very, very gently till I make a little hole if I have to. This one is like a claw, and what it does, it grabs things. I can hold things with it, and it can pick things up. It's got this little end on it that can grab. You can't buy these tools. Impossible. You have to make them yourself.
With these small implements, the scope of work Willard can do is truly staggering.
This one here is the smallest sculpture any human being has ever made by hand. This is a little baby inside a hair. So when I find hair on my face here, which you can't see, when I shaved it, I went like this, and in between my fingerprint is the finest piece of hair. And then what I did, I drilled a hole into the hair, and then the baby was made from a floating fibre. So when the sunlight comes through the window, you see those little fibres floating. I caught one of those.
Like, bro, how do you even think about doing this, bro? This is insane. Like, how? But that's not my fifth time saying insane. But that's it, bro. That's how crazy it is. Like, that's insane, bro. I don't care.
I had to make a tool so sharp to cut it, so I smashed up a diamond into little bits, and it's one of them that I used to slice the shape of the baby. This one took me 3 months to get it right because it kept going wrong all the time. I call this one the beginning.
Oh my God.
Willard's beginnings were not easy. His talents developing while facing challenges in the classroom before autism was diagnosed in schools.
Back in the 60s
Oh, he has autism? I didn't know that.
and 70s, the educational system would neglect kids with learning differences. So having autism, which wasn't diagnosed back then, kids were sort of left behind, not because of their own fault, because the teachers left them behind. So if a kid had any talent, you would never know because he was discouraged. But one thing I've learned is I never got bitter, I got better. When I was 15, I had a microscope. This guy got it me from school, and I used to break bits of razor blade off and push them into a matchstick and put a bit of glue on them so I've got a little scalpel blade and things. And I started getting little bits of toothpicks and putting bits of metal into the end and holding things down and slicing. And as I got older, I started to evolve. 55 years of doing this. I'm now 65. So my whole life, my whole body has been trained. That's the dedication that I have.
Willard's
And one, I seen one of his artworks that he gave one of them to Queen Elizabeth. He sold that for, I think, for $125K. That's it, bro. That's crazy.
dedication makes him always strive for perfection in his work.
The emotional process is when it goes wrong, I'm pissed. And then I sit down and I it's not what you do when you get knocked down, it's what you do when you get back up. So if I get knocked down with something, I get back up and then I find out why I got knocked down, why it didn't work, and I'll do it again and I'll just keep going till I get it right.
How do you feel when you complete a piece?
It's like climbing a mountain, Mount Everest. You get to the summit and it's like... See, my pleasure is looking at other people, seeing their reaction, to know that inside the eye of the needle has opened up the biggest world to people.
Among these people entranced by Willard's work was Queen Elizabeth II.
The most proudest moment of my life. I had a letter from Buckingham Palace saying she'd accept my tiny microscopic crown.
That is so
Queen
fire.
came out.
You had a queen. Ooh, that's fire.
And it was in a beautiful microscope, specially made for her. I took it out and showed it to her. She says, "This is fantastic. It's so special. I've never had something so small that's so special. Thank you very much." Shook my hand and I walked away. thinking the alarm clock was going to go off, thinking I'm going to wake up.
That's fire.
What do
To be able to make something for a queen, that's really fire. Like,
you hope people take from your work?
Well, I hope they see small things in a much bigger way. They look at life different. If you see anything and you can help the person, if you see a little bee on the floor and he's walking, pick him up, put him somewhere safe. There's kids out there with autism. Take time to listen to them, understand them, because they're diamonds in a dustbin. Take the lid off the bin and see what's in there. What society seems to throw to one side, they'll realise they made a big mistake.
that's fire, bro. Like, to be able to even find out you can do that type of stuff, bro, is insane. Man, make sure I like, comment, subscribe, man. And I'm gone.
Lil' man tweaking with that stick, that nigga sight up out in mind. Well, spin your people shit, lil' bro, don't call me with that crime. Been on both ends of that fire, bitch, I'm really slanging iron.